Welcome everyone to our Facebook Live. I am thrilled to be here with you all. We're going to be doing an amazing cookery demo. So if you're just logging on, welcome. Let us know where you are and use the comments box, say hello. Let us know whether you've actually got a cook expert or not, or if you're just looking to find out more about it. But we're thrilled to have you with us, and this is going to be a fabulous Facebook Live. Just a reminder to everyone, because I know people are logging on at the moment, that if you want the ingredients for all the recipes that I'm demonstrating, they are on the events page, so you will see all of the ingredients there. I will be talking you through every single step as well, and we will be using both the metal bowl of the Cook Expert and of course the food processor as well, which you get when you buy your Cook Expert. So welcome everyone, make use of the chat box. It's great to see you all logging on, and we're going to be showing you a fabulous cookery demo. So what I'm going to do is just introduce myself first. My name's Christine Bailey. I'm a nutritionist and a chef, and I'm also someone who uses Cook Expert an awful lot. For those of you who know me, this food processor part in particular goes with me everywhere. Whether I'm doing shows at big events or small events, that actually comes with me everywhere. But today what I'm going to do is show you a really simple plant-based meal. And it's one of my favourite meals, particularly if you are new to just increasing the amount of vegan or vegetarian dishes in your family, or perhaps you've got someone who's just switched to a vegan diet. Even if you're not vegan, you are going to love these recipes. I'm going to show you a mushroom burger, which is protein packed, very simple to make, and you can prep it in advance. So if you are cooking along with us now, but you're perhaps going to eat it later, that's perfect, because you can just put these into your fridge and then you can cook them later. I'm going to show you a barbecue sauce that we're going to make up in our metal bowl in the Cook Expert. And then using the food processor, I'm going to show you some really simple red pickled onions, very, very simple dish, and a vegan mayo as well. So let's get started. And if you're cooking along with us, I'll make sure that I mention all the different steps, so please don't worry. We're going to use the metal bowl first, and we're going to do the mushroom burgers first. And what I've got in here is 150 grams of, now I've got gluten-free oats just because I'm celiac, so I have to have it gluten-free, and a handful of fresh parsley. Don't worry about stalks or anything like that. Throw them in. One of the advantages of the Cook Expert is it will blitz everything for you. And this is really good. If you've got, say, leftover bread and you just want to use it up, make breadcrumbs. Use it for spices. So we put the lid on, and it has a really good locking system, so don't need to worry about that. Now, there are lots of functions, and I'll go through these as we go through, but today what I'm going to do is select expert mode. So that means I can control the speed, temperature, timing, everything. And what I'm going to do is you press OK, and you have a speed one in the middle. So the speed one, I'm going to go up actually to about 14. Because I want this to be fairly fast. I'm not going to heat this because all I'm doing is grinding this up, almost like a flour. And then I'll just press auto go, and I'm using, because it's a glass lid, I can see when it's actually blitzed up for me. You're probably only going to need about 20 to 30 seconds before it's really quite fine. Then you can just stop it, and then I'll just show you what this looks like as well. What you'll need then is a glass bowl, and we're going to tip the dry ingredients into the glass bowl, and that will be our base for the burgers. So that's going in. So I'll just show you what those like. So you can see that the little bits of green in there, that's our parsley. And again, you could use any other herbs. You could use some dried herbs, but this is great. If you've got, a little bit of parsley left in the back of the fridge, chuck it in. Extra flavour, extra colour as well. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to chop. And this is one of the other great things. If you are someone who likes to do cooking but you don't have a lot of time, just use this to chop everything. So the Cook Expert will do everything from sort of chopping, slicing, blitzing, smoothie, and of course cooking. Initially, what we're going to do is just chop things up. So what I've got in here is half an onion. Again, I'm not doing anything with that. I'm just chucking the whole thing in. A little bit of garlic as well. And then I've got my mushrooms. So I'm using chestnut button mushrooms. They're all going in. You see, I haven't actually bothered to chop them or do anything with them. Absolutely no need to do that. And then what we're going to do, and this is one of my favourite functions actually for chopping, is we're going to go on to the expert mode. So back where we were, expert. Now this time, as long as you've got a little bit of time on, you can use this button, which is a pulse button. And what this does is it will just allow you to have a little bit more control over your chopping. And when you press it and then you release it, the vegetables or whatever you're chopping sort of falls back in. So it means that it's a really easy way of getting a more even chop. So you again are going to do this for, a few pulses. And I don't want it to be overly chopped because we will be processing this a little bit again. I'm going to pull this out just so that you can see it as well. And you get a spatula with your Cook Expert. So what I like to do is before I start cooking, just use your spatula, push it all down back to the blade. And now, because I want to develop the flavour, I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil. And we're actually going to cook this now. Now, again, we're only going to do this for a couple of minutes. That's all we need because the main cooking is either in the oven or you can fry these burgers. But what you do is by cooking it in here, particularly with the lid on, you really develop the flavour and you get lovely moist onions and mushrooms. So again, use your expert mode. And I'm actually going to, and you've got these arrow buttons, plus and minus, which means you can go up or down with time. So you can just be in control of your cooking. And I think that's really important. So 2 minutes. And I'm actually going to, now the other great thing about this is that you have a whole range of speed settings. So there's a couple of settings called 1A and 2A. And what that means is, it's a bit like you standing over a pan and just gradually stirring from time to time. So it's alternating it. Now that's perfect because what this means is you can just set this to do something, whether it's a soup, a stew, a casserole. Just set it to 1A and it will gradually just stir it from time to time. You can just go off and let it do its own thing. So I often use 1A and 2A, which are sort of the slower alternating speeds for some of the sort of one-pot meals where you don't want to be over the oven or the hob, checking it, making sure it's all right. But you have speeds up to 18. So you can have continuous speeds, which can go really, really fast, which are great for grinding up spices. Maybe you're having a smoothie for your breakfast, you're blending up a soup. So you've got a whole range of different settings. So I'm going to use 1A, 2 minutes, and then I am going to cook now. So again, the great thing is this is an insulated metal bowl. It will cook for you. It's an induction, so it's very, very rapid. And I'm going to take it up to about 110, just for 2 minutes. So I've set it for 2 minutes, and you can see that it's just going round, and then it will stop, and then it will go round. Now, while it's doing that, I've got 2 minutes. I'm going to just flavour the base. So I'm going to put in the cornflour. This just helps to bind it together. And I'm just going to season it with just a little bit of black pepper. Okay? And I'm just going to stir that through. And the nice thing about this recipe is that it's very, very versatile because you can use whatever you've got in your cupboards or your fridge, for example. And it means that you can just vary it as well. But the nice thing is that say you want to cook this weekend, You could actually prepare your burger mixture now, put it in the fridge, shake them, put them in the fridge, and then you can just cook them when you want. This is a large bowl, so the recipe that I'm showing you will actually make about 8 to 10 burgers. So it's a great one for family, for batch cooking, for large amounts. You can equally do small amounts in this as well. But if you are someone who's got a lot of hungry children, I've got 3 teenage boys, they are always eating, then actually having a very large bowl can be very, very useful. And you can, you probably can't see, but the steam is now, because this is heating up so rapidly, this is now getting quite warm. So it doesn't take long for the induction to really, really work. So you can select your own times. Now, say you're new to Cook Expert, you have got what we call pre-programmed automatic functions as well. You've got 13 different automatic functions. So, for example, if you're new to it and you think, I just want to make a soup, but I'm not quite sure what to do, there is a soup mould function. There is one for making pastry, brioche. There's smoothies. There's so many different functions, so that if you are new to it and you're not really sure, and you're not sure what temperature it should be or what the speed should be, you know, you can do a risotto in this, you can simmer, you can steam in this, and you've got functions to allow you just to select those and it will just do its own thing, which is fantastic. It's bleeped, it's told me it's ready. So what I'm going to do is just take that off. Oh, wow, that's amazing smell. It's really, really good. And again, this is such an easy way of making a family meal without worrying about lots of different kitchen equipment and different pots, because this is all in one pot. So that's the cooked mushrooms. Now we're going to actually add the rest of the ingredients and then we'll get the burgers done. So I've got here just a little bit of tamari soy sauce. That just adds a real lovely richness to it. And then for a bit more flavour, I'm adding some nutritional yeast flakes. You can get these in all the supermarkets. But when you are doing more vegan-based recipes, it adds a really lovely flavour, almost slightly cheesy flavour, but a lot of protein and a lot of B vitamins as well. But the bulk of it are some kidney beans and some lentils. These are just canned and they've been rinsed and drained. So this is really good, store-covered ingredient. I really created this recipe because, quite frankly, it was the end of a week. I didn't have much in, and I was just raiding through my cupboards, and I saw my different beans and pulses, which I use a lot. And this was just a perfect way of making something very nutritious, didn't cost much either. So those are the ingredients, they're going in. And again, what we're going to do is use the pulse mode as well, because what I actually want to do is literally just pulse it. I don't want any temperature, so I'm not going to actually cook this. All I want to do is just give it a little blitz. Now, when you're making burgers, you want some texture. So again, the real benefit of using the pulse is that I can blitz this up without it going really soft. So I just want a little bit of texture still in this. And you can see if you just press it, you just pulse it from time to time, then it all blends back in. Now, from time to time, you might want to take off your lid, push down with your spatula, and I'll just show you what this looks like in a minute, because I actually like to see a little bit of beans and lentils still in there. I don't want it all too smooth, and that's one of the advantages of being able to use your pulse function, because it's just allowing you, again, you've got your glass lid so you can see everything. So I think that's about as I like it, because I like it nice and chunky. So let me just show you what this is like. And I'm going to put this, hopefully you can see that, I'm going to tip this now into the oats that we already had prepared. So let me just push that in. Now at this point, if you wanted to, you could actually just put this mixture into the fridge. You know, you could blend it round, mix it together, and then you could shape it later. So this is a great one for prepping in advance. Now, I want to use this bowl again, and I can't really be bothered to wash it. So the great thing is, the Cook Expert, and I use this a lot, has its own rinse function, which is absolutely brilliant. So all you need to do is pour in some water. It can be warm water, it doesn't matter, because we've got a temperature setting on this. Now, if you've got very stubborn stains, or you've been cooking something and maybe there's a little bit ground at the bottom, you could add some washing up liquid to this as well. I'm not going to, because I want to use it straight away. If you've got something, say you've been cooking like a curry and it's quite strong smelling, just add a little bit of white wine vinegar, and that will help to absorb the flavour as well. So we put the lid back on. Always make sure that you have actually got the cap on, and then you'll go through the different settings. So we've got the expert setting here, and then if you just use your arrow key, then you'll see that there is a function called rinsing. Now, if you want to, say you've got really stubborn stains, you could change the temperature and you could actually make it hotter. I don't need to, because there's not that much in here. And that will just do its own thing. It will rinse it for you. I'll tip it out in a minute and I'll show you what it looks like. That's a really good function. Now, just to remind you that the metal bowl and the food processor can actually be put in the dishwasher anyway. So if you don't want to wash them up in the sink, you can just put it all in the dishwasher. But do make use of the rinse mode, because it's such an easy way of just clearing out the stains. So while that's doing its thing, what I've got here, I'm just going to use a spatula, bring everything together. So we've got our dry ingredients, our oats, our cornflour, and obviously the parsley as well. And I'm just going to bring it all together, and you'll find that you'll have a nice, slightly damp mixture. And it's at this stage that if you wanted to, you could just chill this. I tend to shape them into burgers first, and then if I'm not cooking them straight away, I'll just chill it. But this, again, really, really simple recipe, which means that you can easily prep this in advance. And of course, remember, say you don't have kidney beans to hand, you could swap this with different beans and pulses. So this is a very sort of versatile recipe. You know, I will often use, say, a can of chickpeas or something instead of the kidney beans. You want some, you know, something quite firm. But whatever you've got in terms of beans and pulses, you'll be able to use this in this recipe. So let me just show you. I'm just going to take off the lid, and then I'm going to pour this out, and then I'll just show you what it looks like. And you'll see that, wow, see how good that is in terms of getting it clean with just a simple rinse. And remember, I didn't use any washing up liquid, and that's perfect. So that is now ready for me to do the barbecue sauce, which I'm going to do in a minute. What I just want to show you first is how to shape your burgers. So we'll get those ready. Now, if you are cooking along with us, there's a couple of ways in which you can cook these. I will often fry them lightly first before putting them in the oven, but you could put them in the oven, 200 degrees C, gas mark 6. So if you are cooking along with us, make sure your oven is on. I'm going to get a baking tray. And one thing I would say is make sure you've got slightly damp hands, or what you can do is just put a tiny bit of olive oil on your hands. It just helps you to shape your burgers slightly easier. So take a small amount. Now this, I reckon, will make about 8 to 10, depending on how big you want your burgers. And it should be nice and damp. You don't want it too wet, but I've got nice little chunks there. Just roll it into a ball, and then you can just press it down and shape it as well. If you want them precise, then what you can do is use one of the metal rings and just place the ring there as a sort of guide for you. But these are fabulous. So what I often do at this point is once I've done a whole tray full, I'll just put the tray in the fridge, and then when I'm ready, I will then cook them. Now, if you are thinking about cooking them now, or you're going to do this perhaps tonight, what I like to do is just fry them very lightly, 1 to 2 minutes either side, with some olive oil. And then I'll put them in the oven, 200 degrees C, gas mark 6, for about 5 to 10 minutes. That's all they need. You can also freeze them. I tend to cook them first, then freeze them. And then what I'll do is put them on a tray, cover it with foil, and then put it in the oven to reheat. So again, perfect if you want to get ahead this weekend and you want to get some recipes done. So let's do the barbecue sauce. So we can get those cooking, get your barbecue sauce on. Now this barbecue sauce is so easy. And I'll be honest with you, I use this recipe for so many different recipes or dishes. So for example, I will often poach some chicken, shred the chicken, which I'll do in here. Just do it on a high speed, just for about 20 seconds, and you get wonderful cooked shred chicken. And then I'll stir the sauce through. Or I might use it as a base for, say, a mince or bolognese. I will often also just use this as a condiment, like tomato ketchup. It's fabulous. So you can use this hot and cold. In here, I've got 125 grams of sun-dried tomatoes with a little bit of olive oil, which, you know, if you're getting these sort of jarred sun-dried tomatoes, you could use a little bit of the oil from the jar. Couple of dates, 4 dates, that just gives a little bit of sweetness. And then a bit of soy sauce. In here I've got a can of chopped tomatoes, so again, really easy store cupboards ingredients here. And then a little bit of Dijon mustard. I like that tang with the Dijon mustard. Bit of garlic and red onion. Again, no need to chop. You don't need to chop. Now, if you like it slightly spicy, just add, and be very careful because the chili flakes can be a little bit overpowering. Add some chili flakes, smoked paprika as well. That makes a really nice, tangy, warm flavour. And then I'm not going to add too much in the way of salt, but a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of salt. I've got some soy sauce in there, so I don't want too much in the way of the salt. And this will just show you how good it is just to set something going, and then you can get on with something else. So we're going on to our expert mode. So let me just move on to expert, and we'll just go, you can go all the way through. And you've got so many different modes. You've also got, out of interest, you've got a recipe mode as well. So you get a recipe book and you get access to an app which allows you to have a look at all the recipes that have been tried and tested as well. So expert mode, and then I'm going to do this for about 10 minutes. That's all it really needs. And we're going to do the heat at around about 110. That will just mean it's been nice and hot, piping hot. And then at the end, what we're going to do is we'll blitz it up a bit. So if you like a really smooth sauce, because, you know, if you're cooking with children, some children don't like lumps, you can make it really, really smooth by just increasing the speed right at the end. But we'll just let that do its own thing. It's going to heat up, it's going to cook, it's going to chop. So that was speed 3, 110, and we're just doing it for 10 minutes on the expert mode. In the meantime, food processor. Probably my favourite thing in my kitchen is the food processor. So you remember, you get the base, you get the metal bowl, you get a steamer insert as well, by the way, and also you get your food processor, and you've got 3 bowls. And these are really versatile, so it means that if you're wanting to prepare a lot or just small amounts like sauces, pestos, dressings and so on, you can, because you've got such a diverse range of bowls here, and you've got two blades, a small blade and a large blade. We're going to actually use the large bowl today, which tends to be what I use a lot, just because I've got lots of hungry children. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our pickles. And I just want to show you here, because this is what I tend to do. What I like to do is just prepare this in large amounts, and this will keep in the fridge for weeks. It's a vinegar base, so it will keep for a long period of time. And of course, I'm doing red onions, but you could actually, use a whole range of different vegetables that you happen to have. This is really good way of, if you've got, say, I don't know, half a cauliflower in the fridge and you're thinking, well, what should I do with that? Or even some button mushrooms or something, you can pickle it. Just pickle, pickle, pickle. My twins, a lot of you will know me, my twins are actually 17 next week. So this has already been used because I've made them their cake already, because Isaac likes simnel cake. Don't ask me why, it's Easter, but he likes simnel cake because he likes the marzipan. So I've prepared that already. And this is what I use. I use the big bowl. But equally, Simeon, my other twin, likes ginger sushi. So I have sliced up and pickled ginger. So again, if you buy things in bulk and then think, what do I do with the rest of it? Just pickle it. So I've got here, now you get 2 of the slicing blades and you get 2 grating blades. I'm using the smaller size, so you get 2 millimetre and a 4 millimetre. I'm using the finer one. And I'm going to show you how to use this for just a couple of red onions. Now, normally I would probably get a whole bag and just do the whole lot, but we're just going to show you a small amount. Now, you've got your plunger here. And this is actually a safety lock because it won't actually work if this is halfway up. So this is a really good safety feature. I don't even have to slice these or chop them somewhat. I can just put the whole lot in, and then I press this down. And then what's the nice thing about the Cook Expert is that once you've got the food processor in place, it knows you've got the food processor in place. So it already selects the food processor, and then all I need to do is just press it on and it's done. Do you see how quickly that is? So just remember, if you want to make a quick salad, a quick coleslaw, you just want to slice up some veg ready for cooking later, this is going to save you so much time. I mean, I can't tell you how often I use this. Every day I am using this. So let me just show you the onions. So again, you can, if you want to, just, vary the pickling. But my sort of base is, I tend to use apple cider vinegar. I just love the flavour. And you'll see the little bits in there. That's mustard seeds. That's optional, but I think it works really well. A little bit of sea salt, and then just a touch of sugar. That's your base. I tend to warm this up, and then I'll pickle all my veg as well. You don't have to use a Kilner jar. Anything will work. And then all you're going to do is pile in your veg, whatever it is. Obviously, we're using the red onions. And these are great as a condiment for, meat, fish dishes. But the nice thing is as well is that this will keep for such a long time. So, if you are thinking about, well, I don't really want it this weekend, it doesn't matter. In fact, this actually is better if you prepare it in advance. So then just make sure that you've pressed it all down so that it is covered with your liquid. So I've got in here just 200 mils of apple cider vinegar, but obviously if you were making a lot more onions or slicing more onions, you would just increase the amount. But that will keep in the fridge for weeks. It doesn't last that long in my household, I'll be honest. Simeon's always using it. Now I'm going to use this same bowl, don't need to wash it up, to make our vegan mayo. This is a brilliant recipe. Oh my goodness, this will change your life, particularly if you are vegan or you need to avoid eggs. This is so simple and so versatile as well because you can change the flavourings around. So the base of this, and I'm going to use the big blade. This is my godsend in my kitchen because I will literally, I mean, if I'm making cakes and so on, I will tend to do it in the food processor. Really, really good. I do a lot of gluten-free recipes. I find this works so well, and it's so strong it will blitz up lots of things for you, breadcrumbs, whatever. So I'm going to use the large blade. In here, I've got silken tofu. You can get this in all supermarkets. It won't be in the chilled aisle because it's UHT, so you'll probably find it in the Asian aisle with the rest of the soy sauces and so on. It's a very soft texture, high protein. So this is a really good replacement. In vegan recipes, we use things like silken tofu all the time. This is great in sweet and savoury. So for example, say I was making a soup in the metal bowl, and I thought, it hasn't really got any protein in there, or I want it to be creamy, just add a carton of silken tofu, and then you're getting creaminess and protein as well. So it's a really good way of bulking up the protein in a recipe. But it's so creamy as well that you can use this as a sweet alternative. So for example, chocolate mousse. Blitz up some silken tofu with whole oranges, and I would use the food processor, and then some melted chocolate, and you've got an instant chocolate mousse. Vegan, dairy-free, amazing. So it's very versatile. So we're using it for the vegan mayo today. For a little bit of flavour, what I've done is just add a tiny bit of Dijon mustard. Then in here, I've got some olive oil, lemon juice, and just a little bit of maple syrup. That just adds a bit of sweetness. And then all I really want to do is just season it. So a little bit of salt, so a bit of sea salt, a bit of black pepper, and then we just blitz it up, and you'll get a wonderful creamy dressing. And I mentioned that you can vary the ingredients because quite often what I will also do is maybe add a little bit of garlic, maybe some herbs. So you can just vary it according to your own taste. Again, it recognises I'm on a food processor mix, and I'm just going to let it do its own thing. I don't know if you can see, but I can almost see here steam coming out. This is lovely and hot now. And there is our dressing. So I didn't need to add any extra liquid to that at all. That is lovely and smooth. I'm just going to take out the blade so I can just show you really just how creamy this is. I mean, it's just such an easy dressing. Now, the other thing is that you can make this ahead. So again, I've made a reasonable amount here. Say you weren't, perhaps you haven't got a large family that eat all the time. You could do this half the amount in the small bowl with the small blade. So again, the nice thing is that because you get 3 bowls, if you are just cooking for yourself, you can just make use of the small bowl. And I use that small bowl, for example, pestos. The other day I was making a gremolata, which is literally just things like parsley. I tend to use parsley, a bit of basil, some lemon, zest, a bit of sea salt, and you literally just blitz it up. And that's where the small bowl is really, really effective. But the large bowl is great for when you're making those sort of larger quantities. Now this you can put in a jar, a little bowl, put it in the fridge. This will keep for a week in the fridge. So again, it's a great one if you want to make a salad. You can use this as a topping on dishes as well, cooked vegetables and things. You can just drizzle this on at the end as well. This is a really healthy mayo, really, really nice. Plus you can just vary it. So I think I'm ready to show you everything. What I want to do first is just blitz up our sauce. So you heard it bleep. So it's all been cooked, and I can feel this, it's really nice and hot. Now, if you like it smooth, now you don't have to do this because some people like it chunky, But if you want it, you know, a little bit more smoother, or you've got fussy children, then you can just increase the speed. Now you can do it up to the highest speed if you want, which is 18, and then, you know, you'll probably only need, you know, a few minutes, or well, about 30 seconds really, and this will just blitz it up for me. That's probably enough. So again, you see, on the expert mode, you can just decide how much time you want, the speed you want, the temperature you want. That's one of the benefits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off. I want to show you, and you can probably see, woo, I've just spilt a little bit there. I'll just wipe that up. But I don't know if you can see the amount of steam that's coming out. It's so, so hot. You know, one of the nice things about the induction is that it will really be very responsive. So when you start cooking, it will heat up very quickly. Now, the other benefit is that because this is an insulated bowl, it will keep hot as well for a while. So it's not like you have to suddenly think, oh, I've got to start eating it. You don't. So can you see? God, that smells amazing. Really, really good. So you can either serve that hot, or you could cool it right down, put it in a jar, and then you can just keep it in the fridge as a condiment, and you can serve it hot or cold. So I'm going to plate up, and I want to just show you everything and the final burgers as well. So I did make some in advance, and these are our mushroom burgers. So they're lovely sort of crisp coating, really, really rich flavour, really, really lovely. And what I'm going to do is just get a roll. I'll show you what my boys absolutely love doing. Simeon is an absolute whiz with these. These are actually homemade rolls. And one thing I didn't say actually is that with the Cook Expert, one of the nice things about the Cook Expert is that you can change the temperature. So you can make your dough in the metal bowl, so it will just mix it up for you, and then you can set it to prove, you know, 30, 35 degrees, set the time, and so you can mix it up, prove it, and then of course you can just bake it. So these are actually gluten-free rolls, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plate up with some of our mayo, some of our pickles, and a little bit of salad as well. So I'm going to put a little bit of lettuce on first. And remember that, you know, if you're making this in advance, you can reheat these burgers as well. So you can half cook them if you want, and then just reheat them. It's a very, very versatile recipe. And then I'm going to put some of the lovely pickles. And you can see that, you know, the colour has really seeped in because I made these a couple of days ago. Some of my mayo on here. And then, of course, we've got our delicious, I mean, this is just so nice, this wonderful hot sauce, which you can either top, which is what my boys love doing, or just serve it alongside. I mean, it is so, so good. So here we go. And then what my boys tend to do is get a cocktail stick, because they think they're in a restaurant, I think. And then just stick it in. And there we have our fabulous mushroom burger. So we've got mushroom burger, barbecue sauce, the pickles, and the vegan mayo. And we've done it all in our food processor, Cook Expert metal bowl. Simple, healthy, family friendly. So that's our recipe demo for today. I really hope that you've enjoyed this. If you have, we have a Cook Expert Facebook group. So if you go on to Facebook, Magimix Cook Expert, you'll find so many more tips and inspiration, recipe ideas on there as well. And let us know in the chat box as well, you know, the sort of recipes that you would like to see us demonstrate, because we've got so many more of these planned. And, you know, we want to give you more tips, more inspiration and more healthy recipes. So thank you everyone for joining us today. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let us know if you made these recipes. I hope you do. And I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you everyone. And hopefully we'll see you all soon.